With the digital era now upon us, we've seen an explosion in so many rich blendings of new sounds that are pushing the boundaries of their respective genres. Well, what if I told you these sounds wouldn't exist without one band? In fact, I'd go as far to say that your favorite musician today sound very different or not exist at all if not for this one band, Black Sabbath. They pioneered the sound that so many musicians took and sought to expand in their own direction, from Van Halen or Metallica back then to Tame Impala and Post Malone today, who actually recently made a song with their singer Ozzy Osbourne. Most acts of the last 50 years have been touched in some way by Black Sabbath, especially guitarist Tony Iommi's unique way of playing. Now, I've been a huge fan of Black Sabbath since I was very young. I am a musician myself, and I'm hopefully well equipped by now to express how and why this band was so influential. It was Tony Iommi's sluggish and heavy guitar playing, Geezer Butler's throbbing weave with Iommi, Bill Ward's loose and heavy jazz drumming, Ozzy's shrieking blues vocals, and the fresh theme of doomy lyricism that all blended to create the now huge genre of heavy metal. First, I'll give a bit of history on the band, then talk about their lyricism. After, I'll expand on what made their sound so unique. Finally, I'll close by touching once again on their wide-reaching influence. It was only destiny that heavy metal would start with some bloodshed. 17-year-old Tony Iommi was working at a sheet metal factory. It was his last day on the job. His coworker that was further up in the assembly line didn't show up, so he was put into a shift. He had never used that machinery before, and before he knew it, he heard a loud slam and looked down to see that his middle and right fingertips had been cut off of his right hand. In a 2011 interview with BBC News, Iommi said that he was told, "You'll never play again." It was just unbelievable. I sat in the hospital with my hand in this bag and I thought, that's it, I'm finished. But eventually I thought, I'm not going to accept that. There must be another way I can play. Instead of quitting, he created some artificial fingertips by melting thimbles into shape and wrapping leather around them. However, this created problems. In his autobiography entitled Iron Man, My Journey Through Heaven and Hell with Black Sabbath, Iommi writes that he could no longer feel the strings and it was much harder to bend them. To help alleviate those problems, he used his pinky finger more so he could feel the strings and also loosen the strings. This made it much easier to bend the strings and gave the band their signature low-tuned, heavy sound. That heavy sound was also matched by its lyricism, in contrast to the themes of peace and love commonly found in the counterculture movement of the 60s. The band's bassist, Geezer Butler, wrote lyrics about war, drug abuse, death, impending doom, and the occult. In a 2002 article entitled Ozzy Osbourne, the Godfather of Heavy Metal on nyrock.com, Butler noted, "It was strange people spend so much money to see scary movies. Then I thought, why hasn't anyone made scary music?" In fact, the name Black Sabbath came from a 1963 horror film of the same name. Inspired by the movie, they penned a song, also named Black Sabbath, and decided to focus on darker themes to make a music equivalent to horror movies. Big black shape with eyes of fire, telling people their desire. Satan sitting there, he's smiling. Watches those flames get higher and higher. Pretty heavy stuff, huh? In a Kerrang article titled Black Sabbath's Farewell Interview, the interviewer writes that the first time they played the song Black Sabbath with its cautionary apocalyptic lyrics dealing with an encounter Geezer had with Satan, and when the great horned one appeared in front of his bed one night, Sabs knew they had something. Now, I like to touch on their sound. The band. Their sounds are all composed around a main guitar riff, like the groove of the guitar. It's pretty standard, but it was the rhythm section's approach to complementing the riff that made them unique. The bass was tuned down to match Iommi's heavy sound, and the bass and guitar would often interchangeably anchor the song, meaning one would hold the riff down while the other soloed or made a tasty lick over it. The drum playing was extremely aggressive, a little finesse to it, but a lot of feel for the song. It just fit. When a part of the tune needed to be emphasized, the drummer Bill Ward would bring in his raw, powerful, and loose jazzy style in spades. In essence, instead of the guitar taking over the song, the rhythm section complemented the guitar to elevate the overall heaviness to the sound. Nowhere do they showcase this style better than the song Into the Void, which I'll post in the description box below. If you decide to listen, go into it with the rhythm section in mind. And if you like that, hey, you can't go wrong with their first 6 albums. It was lyricism and unique sound that made all those albums so influential to a new generation of musicians. making Black Sabbath to be one of the most unique and pioneering bands of their day. Despite, or because of his freak accident, Tony Iommi and the band unknowingly and almost single-handedly created what we now call heavy metal. They also pushed the boundaries of what was accepted in song lyricism with a much darker tone than the era that preceded them. Without their influence, music today would be unrecognizably different.